All right, this is the latest version of the printer app. I actually have it running in production. So I have it open on a computer at work so I can show the print to darkroom. These buttons up here at the top are new, but I'll go over those in a minute. Right now I just want to print both of these and we'll send them to a darkroom printer. Printed successfully. And now if we go over to darkroom, the order is going to show up, and there it is right there. It has the media type set to Pro Luster, which is the catalog that it was taken from. And I have the media set up in the printer settings and on the product itself. And they're both set to an 8x10. And you could have this auto print if you had auto print turned on in darkroom. Which could be pretty cool. I think I might end up having two versions of darkroom running, one that's set to auto print to accept these type of orders, and then another one that's us using darkroom manually. Pretty cool. Pretty happy about this. Okay, so here we are back in the printer app. I have it running locally, so I don't have to worry about having customer images over here. These are all just my own images and stock photo stuff. So what all is new? We got these buttons. We've got these buttons at the top. So if a printer is selected, if a printer is enabled with these checkboxes, it will show up here at the top. And I might hide these depending on how many images are in an order. Kind of really only want to do this if there's a small amount of images in an order. But if we click one of these buttons, it's going to print everything in the order to whatever printer you choose. So I've got these three printers set up. Whatever one of these buttons I choose is going to print all of them to darkroom, or all of them to the 39B. And then it is going to check the archive box up here to say that it needs to be archived. So if you had a bunch of small orders in a row and you had the machine set up to take whatever prints you needed, you could just go down here, and it also advances to the next one automatically. So we were on that one. Click the archive button and it advanced to the next one. So now I'll click it again and advance to the next one, and it check the archive button. Pretty cool. So if you had a bunch of small orders, instead of having to click on each folder and then archive it, click the button here, click the cart, put it in the cart, and then click the print button. If it's a simple order, you can just use these. Now, if you had a complicated order with a bunch of different sizes in it and you clicked one of these, might not go so well, especially with a 39, the way the Noritsu hot folder is working. It doesn't have feedback on what magazines are loaded in the machine. And if Easy Controller gets an order for something that's not loaded, it's just going to stop and tell you to change the paper. So not something I'd recommend to use these. We would use, I think we'll end up using these buttons for larger orders or more complicated orders so you can control what's going on. And then these for just small, simple orders. What else is, we got these archive buttons over here. So these four green folder icons mean that those all have the icon, they all have the archive checkbox checked. So if we go down here and click the Archive Orders button, it should move these four folders that have the green icon saying that the Archive button is checked. It should move those into the Archive folder that we specified under Settings. And so it actually works pretty instantly, even with a lot of images. If I do this one, it's got 488 images. Right? It said it didn't do anything because I didn't have this checkbox checked. Boom, it's gone. All it's really doing is updating the pointer path to the new path, and then it's gone. So you don't have to wait for the folder of images to copy and whatnot to another folder. It's just updating the pointer in the OS, I think is how it's working. It's pretty neat. So once you've the goal is to have as few folders in here as possible. If you were not very busy, we would say to keep a few days worth. But if you are busy and the list is constantly scrolling, being able to get rid of them and clean out the folder is pretty handy. So what happens when you want to get one of those folders back? You can go down to this Find Old Orders button, and I'll type in part of what I think one of the folders has in it. I could have typed in anything in the folder name, and then I can click Restore, and it put it back over there. This stays open if you wanted to restore a bunch. Not sure how often you'd want to do that, but for me testing, it's pretty handy. So what else is new? That might be about it. The buttons at the top are pretty cool. Also, there's a skip button. So if you were doing small orders and you saw that a couple of them are more complicated, you could skip them, and then you get into something and then you do want to print it. So then you can click one of the buttons instead of skip. I might put another skip button here at the end of the list of printers. And let's see, under settings, I did clean up some of the options. These options, re-render the image or enable sharpening, were originally just under Noritsu. If you had a Noritsu type selected, re-rendering is going to be something that's going to be needed once I add color correction in it. So it kind of needs to be available for any type of printer. And it probably should be hard-coded. Probably needs to be true by default, or else the color correction isn't going to work. But I don't like having it. It needs to be an option that you can turn off so that you can see what's really happening. And then it would just move the files instead of re-rendering them. I think that's kind of handy to be able to have that. So let's cancel that. All right, I also added on to the catalog an alias. So we have different catalog names, but they're all the same paper type and the same sizes for this most part. So luster prints, package prints, there could be headshot 8x10 prints, or maybe collage prints or something like that. They'd all be on the same paper and the size information would all be the same. So having an alias keeps you from having to duplicate the catalog and have a whole bunch of catalogs that all have the same products. Oh yeah, there's one other thing. When you're looking at the list of folders here, there's now a right-click context menu, and if I click Reveal in File Explorer, it opens the Explorer window. If I click Open in Bridge, the main folder, it will open up the parent folder. In our ordering system, the SOS, we get a Originals folder called ZZ Originals. So there's an option to open that folder directly as well. So we'll go up here, right click, Open in Bridge, ZZ Originals. And now you're working. Sometimes the way it does the folder is a little, I wish this opened up in the middle. It was a little bit more obvious. That was kind of up there. It was a little hard to see. But this is the original folder, the original files that were sent in with this order. If you wanted to color correct them and then re-render them, this is where you would want to do it. Eventually, it might also add in, there could be a right click and then re-render, and then it would tell the ordering system back in to re-render everything. So you would do that after you color corrected stuff, but I haven't figured out how I'm going to handle that. It might be that you can color correct the ZZ Originals within this program, and then when it finishes, it would trigger the back end to re-render everything. Pretty happy with everything that's gone on lately. I've had a couple of days without a lot of huge problems. Certainly had a fair share of problems, but I'm pretty happy with the progress lately. Looks pretty good. I think it's just about ready to do some production work, although without the color correction, it's probably a few too many steps.